All right, if you have someone, look around you. If you have someone that's still fellowshipping and talking, give them a little tap, say we're getting started. All right, there goes those lights flickering for the last few. If you have somebody standing next to you, please give them a little tap, a gentle reminder, we're getting started. Well, good morning and welcome to our Cesar Chavez 8th annual Legacy Breakfast. Look around at how much this event has grown. Give the team a round of applause. They did an amazing, amazing job. So my name is Nora Dominguez. Well, I want to start over. Allow me to introduce myself again. My name is Doctora Nora Dominguez. And I'm not introducing myself with a haughty spirit. Ay, que tu fancy, doctora. No, not at all. Today, we're celebrating the legacy of Cesar Chavez, a legacy that continues to empower the underserved to be sufficient through the work of field that we're celebrating all that work today. You're going to hear a lot about it. The sacrifices of Cesar and thousands of others made for someone like me who worked in the fields from elementary all the way through high school under horrible working conditions. The bathrooms were inadequate, no adequate breaks, and the crop dusters just sprayed poison on us like we weren't even in the fields. We weren't even down there. Get a little emotion about that. It's still happening, so. But no, it's a grateful heart, a deeply, deeply grateful heart and spirit that I introduce myself as Doctora Nora Dominguez, Director of Education Services for the Farm Worker Institute of Education and Leadership Development. It's all that sacrifice that paved the way for me to be able to do that. Today and together, we celebrate the fruit of that legacy. I want to invite Roberto. He's going to come up and lead us in the farm worker prayer. Please stand if you are able.
Good morning. Please stand for the reading of the poem of the Farm Worker Struggle. Please repeat after me. Show me the suffering of the most miserable, so I will know my people's plight. Free me to pray for others, for you are present in every person. Help me to take responsibility for my own life, so that I can be free at last. Grant me courage to serve others. For in service there's true life. Give me honesty and patience, so that I can work with other workers. Bring forth song and celebration, so that the Spirit will be alive among us. Let the Spirit flourish and grow, so we will never tire of the struggle. Let us remember those who have died for justice, for they have given us life. Help us love even those who hate us, so we can change the world. Amen. Please remain standing. Por favor de quedarse de pie. Repitan después de mí. Enséñame el sufrimiento de los más desafortunados. Así conoceré el dolor de mi pueblo. Líbrame a orar por los demás, porque estás presente en cada persona. Ayúdame a tomar responsabilidad de mi propia vida. Solo así seré libre al fin. Concédeme valentía para servir al prójimo. Porque en la entrega hay vida verdadera. Concédeme honradez y paciencia para que yo pueda trabajar junto con otros trabajadores. Alúmbranos con el canto y la celebración para que levanten el espíritu entre nosotros. Que el espíritu florezca y crezca, para que no nos cansemos entre la lucha. Nos acordamos de los que han caído por la justicia, porque a nosotros han entregado la vida. Ayúdanos a amar aún a los que nos odian. Así podremos cambiar el mundo. Amén. Thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you, Roberto. Speaking of legacy, a bit later during the program, we'll be celebrating our distinguished honorees, but I want to mention them now. Richard Polanco, Magda Menendez, Tony Thurman, Flor Martinez, Dr. Carlos Alvarez, and Greg Bynum. Amazing, amazing legacies of their own. We want to thank our local city and county officials who are here to support us. Mayor Karen Go, County Supervisors Leticia Perez, David Couch, and Jeff Flores, Council Member Eric Arias, and Vice Mayor Council Member Andre Gonzalez. We also want to acknowledge our local education officials who are very supportive of us from the Kern Community College District, Chancellor Stephen Bloomberg. Brand new welcome to Bakersfield. Board of Trustees Romeo Agbalog, Nan Gomez Heitzberg, and Giovanni Jimenez. And thank you to Dr. Jerry Flieger, brand new president of Bakersfield College, and the colleagues who are here for attending and your continued support of Field. Now, it takes quite a bit to pull something off like this, so we could never have done this, and it wouldn't be possible without the generous support of our sponsors. Cadiz, California Resources Corporation, PG&E, SoCal Builders, Marriott, Bakersfield College, Bo Carsley, Edmund, Cohen, Esma, and Arndt, LLP, Bynum Incorporated, Kern Community College District, Kern Family Healthcare, RFK Medical Plan, JDLC Pension, and Si Luchamos, Ganamos, UFW, Bakersfield Comité. And to the many additional sponsors you will find in your program, please support those businesses. And to those of you who purchase tables, we can't thank you all enough. Thank you, sponsors. We appreciate you deeply. So as our breakfast is being served, I want to invite David Villarino, President, CEO of Field, to the stage to share his remarks. Enjoy your meal and the rest of the program.
Thank you, Doctora Dominguez. Excellent job. I want to welcome, on behalf of the officers and directors of the Farmworkers Institute of Education and Leadership Development, we have a number of our leadership here, including our General Counsel, Joseph Casas, Dr. Mark Martinez. ¿Dónde anda Mark? Anda perdido. And then we have Greg Cervantes, up from Coachella, and of course, Nora Dominguez. I also want to introduce the family of Cesar Chavez, who's here today, starting with his beautiful daughter, who I've been fortunate, the daughter who I've been fortunate to be married to for 47 years, Liz Chavez Villarino. The first 46 were the hardest. And I want to introduce all of his grandkids and his granddaughters and great-granddaughters, grandkids. David Chavez Villarino, Elena Villarino Chavez, Julia Chavez Villarino, and our grandkids. And on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of farm workers and field students, we wish to extend a heartfelt welcome to this morning to the 8th annual Cesar Chavez Legacy Breakfast. Today we're honoring what would have been his 94th birthday this Sunday. But before I begin my remarks, I just wanted to recognize Senator Dean Flores, who's here today. Also, Assemblywoman, if you can stand up, please. Nicole Parra, thank you. And also Pete Parra, Supervisor, Kern County. This event surpasses our goal of 500 people by over 100 more. We have surpassed our fundraising goal for to raise money for our dorm room furnishings by $10,000. We had a goal of $70,000. We've now hit $80,000. So that's half of the cost it will be to our furnishings for our dormitories for our students. We also want to recognize those members of the City Council that are here. If you could please stand. Andre, and where's Eric? The purpose of this event is to honor and to recognize 6 local and state leaders who have endeavored, in our view, to fulfill Cesar's vision of empowering the community to attain economic and social prosperity through self-sufficiency, essentially by adopting Cesar's core values. One of them is innovation. One of the core values is innovation. It's an active pursuit of new ideas. This requires the humility to listen to others and acknowledge that we don't always know everything. And most people's experience are different than ours, whether they're immigrants from other countries, whether they're from the barrios, whether from the ghettos. They're here and they're struggling, and it's up to us as leaders to listen, figure out what is it that they need and that we can help them with. Another core value is integrity, doing the right thing. It requires a strong commitment to recognize the primacy of labor and the sanctity of life so that we take the proper policies to implement those. A third core value that Cesar exhibited is si se puede, and that is to serve others through a spirit that promotes confidence, courage, and risk-taking. This requires cooperation, collaboration, hard work, and deep faith in ourselves and in the future. It's all about leadership, folks, but not limited to the Gandhis and the Kings and the Kennedys and the Lincolns, but leadership that surrounds us. And how do you know the good leaders? Do they have values that reflect our own? Do they interpret things as good or bad? And do they have followers? Because they model as good stewards. Phil's growth is attributed not just to the support of leaders that we're going to present today, but our internal staff efforts and leadership of staff. It has resulted in the capacity of building adults to own and operate their own business cooperatives. Everything that you see here, whether it's ESL, whether it's a high school charter school, whether it's training, it all goes to the efforts to be able to assist people to own and operate their own businesses as cooperativas. That was Cesar's vision, al fin de cuenta. So with that, we started with, Pete remembers, with ETR, when he helped us get off the ground, when he heading up ETR, and I mentioned to him, look what you started, todo ese barullo. We started with 4 ESL sites with ETR, hand in glove. And then that was in 2002. Now we have 200 staff. We have the 6 sites in Kern. We have 5 in Riverside, 3 in the Central Coast, the Salinas Valley, 3 in Sacramento Valley, 2 in Merced and Modesto, and 1 in North LA County. We're serving over 1,500 people. This year, we've emerged from COVID, and our enrollees have benefited from the facility that the Assemblyman Rudy Salas was able to procure. The $8 million from the state budget last year, we're able to buy the 12 acres. You got to see it, Rudy. We don't have any parking. The students have just filled it up, and the classrooms are booming. They're bringing in their little babies to go to the early childhood education while their parents are in school. We've got watching the trucks from the Corps members come in and out. It's just, what you were able to help us accomplish, Rudy, is just, I can't thank you enough. And I want to encourage you to continue your efforts in your campaign. Now, let's see here. I wanted to take a few moments to recognize a couple of staff, if I could. Can we ask, I'd like to ask Maria. Maria, where are you? Maria Murguia Rawls. Can you come up, please? And I'd like to ask for Troy Trimble to come up. I'd like to ask Dr. Tamar. Where are you, Dr. Tamar? And also Betty Olvera. If you guys can come up. We were supposed to have some certificates. Do we have the certificates? Yes. Where's Dr. Tamar? And where's Betty? Betty, no te rajes. These are some of the high-performing staff that we wanted to thank for all their efforts over this last year, who have gone over and above, both for programming and for implementation of our construction and for our fundraising and for our operations and for our outreach. You 4 have really demonstrated the core values and your commitment as Si Se Puede, and I personally want to thank each and every one of you for your help. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, you guys. Now to present our Lifetime Achievement Award, the Cesar Chavez Lifetime Achievement Award, to our first local awardee is Kern County's 5th District Supervisor, Leticia Perez.
Good morning, friends and Kern County familia.
Good morning.
What a good spirit in the room. It is really hard to convey with words the honor that I feel in introducing this particular individual, who is a personal hero, a heroine of mine. To be able to do so in front of the legends, Polanco, Pete, Beto, Dean, It really is without words. The arc of history may bend towards justice, but that bending is a slow process. Those who have given any part of their lives, extending the whole of themselves in the cause of justice, know that there are more impediments to our cause than there are clear pathways to victories. Victories, when they come, are rare indeed. Since the victories that we prize are smiles and laughter from transformed lives, once broken, now flourishing. It may be the reason that in every generation, inspired by the cause of justice, few who begin with us stay the course through the endless setbacks that hamper all who put their hands to the plow in the fields of the alienated and disenfranchised. For most, the pursuit of justice in the community as an end in itself simply pays too little in fame, celebrity, or wealth to stick around. But Magda did. Sí se puede, sister. For those of you who are young in age and spirit, perhaps just beginning your vocation of transforming broken lives, what you are seeing celebrated this morning is an anomaly. Spending decades fearlessly committed to the cause is an anomaly. Touching and transforming one life, heart, and mind at a time over the span of nearly half a century, Magda has relentlessly hammered with love that arc of history towards justice in Kern County and beyond. I am honored to call her hermana, friend, and one of the true mothers of this community. Magda, may your life's work, your unwavering devotion, and personal legacy forever inspire us. Ladies and gentlemen, Magda Menendez.
Wow. Thank you. Wow, thank you very much. Muy buenos días. When David first called and said that I was going to be getting this award, I was like, that's so cool, that's so nice. Does a check come with that? And he said, yeah, if you bring it. Little nonprofit banter. But estoy muy agradecida to be here this morning. And Leticia, thank you for your kind words. Hearing Nora speak a little bit ago, it brought back my days. You know, I picked a lot of grapes. I chopped a lot of onions, chopped a lot of cotton, right? And I'm a product of the 70s, and the 70s were good years, people. The Chicano movement, now the farm workers movement, and the women's movement, boom, 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 that got me, right? And I knew what I was going to be doing the rest of my life. I knew that I needed to work towards economic justice and social justice. And I've been very blessed in that I've actually been able to pay my bills doing something that I have a passion for, right? And so I'm just very, very pleased, very, very blessed. I know that. Nobody does, you know, what we do just by ourselves, right? There's a lot of folks that helped us along the way, also inspired me along the way, and the primary group of folks who did that for me was my family, and they're here today. Love you guys so much.
so much. And they know that. It's like they may not know what, Mom does, right? But they've trusted and they believed in me. And that is it's an important thing to have. Also, there's a group of people that, helped us along the way in terms of support over the years. Mr. Pete Parra, thank you so much. You're the guy. When MAOF first came to Kern County, it was in the 70s, and it's like, so who are these Mexican people coming in from Los Angeles to Kern County, Are they like this subversive, un-American type group, And I know that there was some resistance, and Pete, you opened the roads for us. Thank you so much. Supervisor Couch here? Not yet. I was going to throw a shout out to him, but ni modo se chingó. Leticia, thank you. I've had more than one county department director in her office, and you've always been there for us. You get it. Thank you very much. Rudy, same thing. We really appreciate all of your help. I also want to thank MAOF staff, and I'd like for them to stand up just for a second, please. They're over here. Y que viva la mujer. Thank you. Nos agarramos el chongo every once in a while, but we do good. And I'll close with, thank you. ¿Sí se pueden sentar? I'll close with, always support your grassroots organizations, because we are the ones that are out there in the front trenches helping those folks, Bureaucrats, oh my God. We've had a lot of threats over the years, right? Because sometimes, never mind that you're doing good, never mind that your programs always, meet goals, never mind that you don't have disallowed costs, but people always come threaten, right? And a lot of folks, again, like I say, the Pete Parras, the Leticias, and even David Couch, have come and stuck it out with us and have helped us. And so we really appreciate that. So always, again, support your grassroots organizations, because we're the ones on the front lines making those changes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Magda, for all your hard work and commitment to the community. I wanted to also recognize our Fields Board Secretary, Mr. Patrick Pine. I think he's now heading up the RFK and Juan de la Cruz Pension Plan, RFK Medical Plan. Thank you. Along that theme of healthcare, our next awardee will receive the Cesar Chavez Innovation Award for historic and tireless commitment to the health and the health education of farm workers. As a farmer herself, Dr. Carlos Alvarez has endeavored to serve the community, has innovated countless procedures, whether it's on diabetic treatment and on and on and on. And we're very honored to be able to bestow the Cesar Chavez Innovation Award to Dr. Carlos Alvarez. You can come up, please. ¿Qué pasó?
Thank you very much. This is an instrument that I had to work with when I was around 10 years old. Similar to this, a little longer, but this instrument here, sun up to sundown at 90 cents an hour. That was tough. So over the time, with the issue of Si Se Puede, now I use this instrument. or all those young people out there that are going to school, do not think that it's not possible. Sí se puede. So those of you that are interested in continuing your education, I went to BC, I went to Cal State, I went to UC Davis, I went to Guadalajara, and then I trained, and my residency was in New York. I love taking care of my farm worker patients. That's who I mainly deal with. I'm a little emotional because this means so much to me. My mother was a Chavista, a strong Chavista. Everything was about Chavez, about the movimiento, about things that have to do, because we lived in the Oki, which is right there on Cottonwood and Smith Street. And we actually were able to go to school. My sister was a teacher. My other sister worked as a X-ray tech at Memorial. I have another brother that went to Harvard. He's a doctor with a PhD in public health. I mention that because we came from Mexico with nothing. So it is possible. When we were working in the fields, there were no bathrooms, no water, no shade. So we had to walk away from the cuadrilla and go to the bathroom. Get down. Remember that? Get down like cattle to drink water from the rows, where there was water going through there. Just like cattle. So over the years, we grew up in the 60s. This is the time that we were working in the fields. The 70s, I lived that too, but that was at UC Davis, the Chicano power issue. But in the 60s, we worked in the fields. And that's all we knew. And it was good. It was good. I think it taught us hard work, and that hard work still plays with me and my family, my kids. Oh, by the way, today's our anniversary. Love you, Pam. As we were going to school, I saw on TV and what was happening with the struggles of the people that put their lives in danger. Cesar, Chavez, Dolores Huerta, all the Mexicanos behind them, the Filipinos in Delano. We got to see all of that. We felt it. So it was tough. You know, I take care of a lot of patients. Mrs. Manriquez, I don't know where she's at. Mrs. Manriquez, stand up, please. Párese, por favor. This young lady here, they had to hide Cesar Chavez in their home because of the prosecution and everything that was going against them. We got to see all of that. Now I take care of her and take care of her husband, which is no longer with us. This is the kind of deals that I live with. I love taking care of my patients. And I guess the worse that they, you know, the more they come and bring me problems at the office of just hard work, their backs, their hands, their feet, I take care of them even more. That is what I do. So one of the things that I want to say is that la causa that happened then is the reason why most of the farm workers have water, they have restrooms, they have shade, they have other, I guess, other rules that they have to follow because the mayordomos are pretty rough. They want you to produce because it affects their pocket. That's still happening today. When you hear what happens, I hear everything in my consultorio, and it's rough. So still we have a long ways to go. And I just want to thank my family. Well, my family, stand up, please. This is why I get up every day to go to work. This is the reason. I want to thank you all for listening to me. And those young individuals that are going to school, échenle ganas, porque sí se puede. Lleguen a ser profesionales, licenciados, doctores o lo que sea, pero tienen que llegar a hacer algo. Muchísimas gracias.
Okay, I also thank you, Dr. Alvarez. I also want to recognize another member of our executive board, Oscar Gonzalez. He was the chief of staff with Secretary Vilsack from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, both in the Obama administration and also in the Biden administration. I want to thank you. Happens to be one of my favorite nephews también. Una de las. To present the Cesar Chavez Excellence Award, our next awardee is Mr. Greg Bynum. We wanted to recognize him for his long-term commitment to CSUB and the community at large. To present him today is the president of CSUB, Dr. Vernon Harper. Before Dr. Harper makes his presentation, I want you to know that Dr. Harper, together with Greg Bynum, are chiefly responsible in view of the 56% population of current being Latino and 63% of the population of CSUB being 63% Latino and African American. They have appointed the provost, a Latino provost. Together with the provost, Dr. Rodriguez, they were able to also appoint 2 Latino academic deans. They have appointed Latino special assistant to the president, happens to be Mark Martinez, who's on our board of directors. And they have embraced the Chavez CSUB Social Justice Conference coming this October 2nd and 3rd. So Dr. Harper, it's my pleasure to have you come to present the Cesar Chavez Excellence Award to Mr. Bynum.
Give him a round of applause for his amazing leadership of field. Our institutions are going to do great things together, continue to work together, but we're here today to celebrate a good friend of the institution. Good mornings and greetings on behalf of the California State University Bakersfield. Give that a round of applause. Go ahead. Appreciate all of you. We are so honored to be invited to share this day, for at CSUB, we strive to emulate the extraordinary service of Cesar Chavez, a civil rights leader who launched a revolution of justice, dignity, and hope in the fields of this valley. Before I introduce my dear friend, Greg Bynum, I want to congratulate all the extraordinary honorees. You are making a difference in the lives of every Californian, particularly our friends and neighbors who don't always feel seen, heard, or respected. Thank you for recognizing the spark that gives each of us our unique humanity. And I also want to thank David and the team at Field for keeping the spirit of Cesar Chavez alive, and for all the work that you do to open doors to opportunity to the underrepresented in our community. Your work matters today more than ever. Give me one more. When we talk about Cesar Chavez, the conversation inevitably turns to this servant leader's humility. In his quiet work to uplift this community, he never sought the spotlight, but his work was so important and transformative that the spotlight always found him. That description reminds me so much of Greg. Greg is the son of Dust Bowl migrants who came west with thousands of others dispossessed families to seek a better life. These families built a legacy of hard work and grit that has been synonymous with our valley. But like so many of these pioneers, they wanted more for their son. And so Greg enrolled at Bakersfield College. Give BC a round of applause. Appreciate the new chancellor and president. Look forward to working with them deeply in the years to come. Where he met Mary, his future wife and partner in philanthropy. Give Mary a round of applause. Wonderful person. And soon they both transferred to a brand new 4-year college on the outskirts of town, where the only neighbors were sheep and tumbleweeds. No more sheep, but there's still tumbleweeds out there. In 1972, Greg graduated from CSU Bakersfield with a business administration degree. And he was part of just the second graduating class. And so when I say that Greg has been a stalwart supporter from the beginning of the university, I am not exaggerating. In the decades since graduation, Greg has built a commercial development and management legacy here in Bakersfield. In 2021, he completed the construction of one of the most ambitious projects in the history of higher education in the region and the state, when BC Southwest opens its doors on the CSUB campus. It was I want some applause. Here's applause over there. Let them have it. And so when this unprecedented partnership was intended to help students transition from Renegade to Roadrunner, a transition that Bynum was among the first to make. In our region, it is hard to think of anyone more respected or beloved than Greg Bynum. At CSUB alone, we have inducted him into our Alumni Hall of Fame, and former President Zelensky awarded him with the prestigious President's Medal. His service to our students and all students in the Valley knows no bounds. But his tireless commitment to his hometown extends to the wider community as well. His own family history taught him that we need mentors, that we need role models to act as guides so that we can have the audacity to seize our own dreams. And like the man whose legacy we honor today, Greg Bynum provides that mentorship, always quietly, with no expectation of thanks. I will take this moment to thank you, Greg, for your quiet guidance and mentorship of me. Well, Greg, today we intend to give public recognition of all your private good works, and now it is with my deep honor to welcome my friend, Greg Bynum, to the stage.
Thank you. There's one thing for sure. I've always believed, and my parents always taught me, that hard work and education would solve a lot of problems and take us in a great direction. I think, as Carlos said, basically, education can't be supplanted in any other way to furnish the best life for those going forward. And I think it's been a long road with BC and CSUB, and we have a tremendous program in our community to support education that is accessible to everyone. So I just want to thank David Villarino specifically, and Field, and everyone else involved in this, supporting today's Legacy Breakfast for this honor. Bynum Inc. and I am truly humbled and grateful for the recognition. To be included in this honor and honored alongside such an important group of people who have given of themselves for the benefit of others is truly amazing. Although I don't know them all personally, I certainly know some of them, and I thought it would be fun to say that Pam Alvarez, who is, celebrating their anniversary today, was Mary and I's flower girl in our wedding. So. I understand what an important part all of the honorees have played in assisting and promoting the educational, leadership, and employment objectives of the Farm Workers Institute of Education and Leadership Development. I was first introduced to David years ago by Dr. Horace Mitchell, who was then president of CSUB, and we struck up a friendship from that point forward, and from that introduction, we ultimately started working together and to secure several different sites for Fields and its operations, and I'd be amiss if I didn't thank Rudy for the money that he brought to at least one of those sites that was a key to the future of Fields. So we continue that relationship and are actively seeking multiple locations for productive growth and development of Fields objectives. I believe great communities, states, and nations are built off the foundation of the tireless efforts of its citizens and leaders. I think we all understand that without each other and a common goal for the betterment of all mankind, we miss the greatness that we can achieve. Together, we all understand that we need collaboration among all of us to lift every person. I particularly think that Fields education and employment training is critical in this effort to lift our communities and integrate those who have somehow been left out. My wife and I believe very strong in communities and know that, as all of you do, that communities are very important to all of us. We believe that the religious, educational, and health care systems provided within our communities are foundational to our ultimate strength and vitality. We are particularly interested in supporting those key aspects of our society. We see how Field, as well as all of us in this room, along with those who came before us, must play a role as part of a patchwork quilt of talent, volunteer efforts, and giving that is necessary to achieve the objective of lifting our communities and all of its residents. We are grateful to be included as part of this mission and thankful to the opportunity to serve in some small way and helping to seek and accomplish a brighter future. I would like to just mention Bynum Inc. and all the support that they've given us over the years so we can participate in some of these endeavors. Particular, I want to mention my wife, since Pam got mentioned earlier. Mary, she has been a stalwart. We both were graduates, as Dr. Harper said. We were both graduates of BC and CSUB, so we have a great heart for these higher institutions of education in our community. I think they're serving everybody. They're making education accessible. And we couldn't be more proud to be a part of that and be a part of Field in some small way to help them organize a productive future. I also want to mention Don Bynum and Jordan Bacot, who have done tireless work on doing this site work for Field and all the work that they put in. Again, thank you so much. We are honored.
Thank you, Greg, for all your great work and helping us, getting into the world of finance and real estate and purchasing and all those kinds of things. And to a lot of us, it's just a maze. And to be able to turn to somebody and for your consejos, your advice and your leadership, it's just been invaluable. I want to thank you and your family, your entire business group. Thank you so much, everyone. Our next awardee will be receiving the Cesar Chavez Si Se Puede Award. Her name is Flor, Spanish, flower in Spanish, Flor Martinez. Flor heads up Celebration Nation, and she really represents the future of Latina leadership, as demonstrated by her relentless service to farm workers throughout the state, marching to Sacramento with the UFW to confront the governor, feeding tens of thousands of farm workers around the state, people that have suffered from the likes of the flooding and the earthquakes and various emergencies that have affected farm workers. And she's there. She shows up with her folks, whether it's fires or floods. She's our own little Chef Jose. I want to thank Flor. She's been bugging me. David, you got to do AI. You got to teach the farm workers about AI because AI is going to replace farm workers. And what are they going to do when they're replaced? And, and so on one hand, I listen to Flor and I'm thinking, you're right, we got to do something. And just like the Greg Bynums of this world, I don't know anything about the real estate and stuff, and I don't even know anything about A&I, but eso la voy a traerla para que nos ayuda, And she's sharp. She knows this stuff, so we'll see where it goes. But I got to tell you that I'm just really impressed with Flor's commitment and what she's been able to organize around the state on behalf of farm workers. So, Flor, thank you so much. You're right. Sí se puede.
¿Se puede o no se puede? ¿Se puede o no se puede? I am very honored to be here today. Thank you so much, David, Liz, and everybody. First of all, I do want to say thank you to Fields for all the incredible work they do for the farm worker community, and us at Celebration Nation. We're excited to continue working together to bring a brighter future for our essential workforce. Yes, I would like to take the time, thank you for allowing me to speak here about this, to bring awareness to the advancing technology, which is AI, artificial intelligence, and how it is a direct threat to the farm workers in our society. As we see labor forces in all different industries striking, boycotting, protesting against AI, I always ask myself, well, where are the farm workers? ¿Dónde están los campesinos en esta lucha contra la inteligencia artificial? And so I think we have an opportunity here, but we need to be united. Tenemos que estar unidos. We need to be united now more than ever because this is, like I mentioned, a direct threat on our farm worker community. Because if AI comes in and it displaces millions of farm workers, that means millions of our community members will be without jobs. And a lot of our community members in the farm worker community happen to be undocumented. And if you don't have citizenship, that means you don't have a work permit. That means you depend on farm work to feed your families. And so this year, we're focusing on passing the registry bills, which are HR 1511 and S2606, which would provide a pathway to citizenship for millions of undocumented community members across the country. And these bills, we're not asking for a new law. We're asking them to update the immigration registry, which was the same registry that was updated back in 1986, which was 38 years ago, which was the last time we had immigration reform. And now we have this policy on the table, and even then, I still wonder, where are the farm workers? Where is our unity? We should be going full force right now. I mean, it's election year. But that's why we're all here, right? That's why in the spirit of Cesar Chavez, la lucha sigue. And I feel like this is a fight, porque It's pretty much humans against robots right now, and we need to be helping our farm workers, making them aware of what's happening, but also letting them know that they have rights and to fight for those rights. ¿Sí? Ok. Que ahorita, como estaba mencionando, con la inteligencia artificial, muchos van a perder sus trabajos, puede ser mañana, puede ser en un año, pero la lucha ahorita también está en la lucha de la ciudadanía para la reforma migratoria. Y ahorita tenemos dos biles, HR 1511 y S 2606, que son para la ley del registro. El registro, la última vez que fue avanzada era en 1986, hace 38 años, que era la última vez que tuvimos reforma migratoria. Y ahorita tenemos estos biles en la mesa, y ahorita más que antes tenemos que estar unidos para luchar, para que millones les toque la ciudadanía, antes que vengan esto artificial, inteligencia, estos robots, antes que vengan y nos quiten los trabajos, porque si no tenemos ciudadanía y llegan estas máquinas, va a ser muy horrible y pues queremos preventar lo que pueda pasar. Entonces, gracias por darme esta plataforma, poder hablar de esto, y ya sé que juntos estamos trabajando con Phil para ayudar a traer recursos y educación de esta tecnología y cómo pueden ustedes tener los trabajos para controlar la tecnología, pero también, como les digo, la lucha ahorita es en la reforma migratoria y juntos sí podemos conseguir la reforma migratoria. Este es el año que les vamos a dar a millones la ciudadanía, pero necesitamos que cada uno corra la voz de ley del registro. Recuerden, HR 1511, S 2606, porque sin permiso de trabajar, muchos no van a tener trabajo, y sin trabajo, ¿cómo vamos a seguir? ¿Verdad? Entonces, estoy aquí para recordarlos que sí se puede, y por eso estamos aquí, y por eso estamos luchando para estos biles, porque sabemos que se puede. ¿Se puede o no se puede? ¿Se puede o no se puede? ¿Quién quiere la reforma migratoria? ¿Quién quiere la ciudadanía? Ya es tiempo, y esto es la lucha. Y en el espíritu de Cesar Chavez, organizar, porque sí se puede. Gracias.
Thank you so much. Sí se puede, sí se puede. You can tell that Flor worked for Google. I just wanted to point out that we have Supervisor Jeff Flores, who finally arrived. Did you get the money? Did you bring it? Okay. Thank you, Flor, for those inspiring words, and we will work together in partnership para dar la madre. Next, to present the Cesar Chavez Legacy Award to former State Senator Richard Polanco, we have Kern County's own former California State Senator and former Majority Leader, Senator Dean Flores.
Good morning. It is great to be with friends and old friends I haven't seen for a while. I got to just tell you a quick story. I was having coffee very early this morning driving in on Chester, and this woman kept looking over at me, and she kept staring, and I was drinking my coffee, and she kept staring. She finally walked over and said, "Excuse me, I have to tell you something. Do you know if you had a lot more hair and about 10 years younger, you would look just like Dean Flores?" And I said, "I am Dean Flores." So welcome to Kern County. So I want to say it's very hard to introduce my very good friend, mentor, literally the ultimate farmer in a room full of farm workers and farm worker advocates. We have Richard Polanco, who has planted just about every Latino elected tree in the state of California. He is the ultimate farmer. So let it not be said we didn't honor some farmers today. I don't know how to I want to kind of go through this pretty quickly in terms of Richard's bio, but I do have a special treat for Richard. For Richard and I, when you're retired and you're out of the Senate, you wonder, what do these guys do all day? One of them does a lot of work, and that's Richard Polanco all over the state, still electing school board members, water board members, county board of supervisors. He's still working. I am sitting somewhere in a coffee house writing poems. So I'm going to read a poem to Richard in a moment, but I want to just tell you that this man, coming from Garfield High School in Los Angeles, moving through East LA, going on to Redlands University, spending time in universities in Mexico, ended up in the in the county working for Ed Edelman and working tirelessly for Latino communities, ended up in the California legislature in 1986. He spent 16 years in the California legislature, and if you look at any profound legislation that deals with Latinos, you're going to find Richard Polanco's imprint on that. I'm not going to mention every piece, but the Voting Rights Act, and by the way, the fact that the entire state of California and every happy school child, Richard introduced the bill to have the Cesar Chavez holiday in California. And I also want to say that beyond that, he is an amazing family man. He's supportive. He is still the guy that most people see. I think everybody that runs for office comes to see Richard Polanco at some point, and that's normally when they're raising money. So I want to say to Richard, thank you, and this is your county. Before Latinos had a U.S. Senator named Alex Padilla, we already had our U.S. Senator who was Latino, and that was Richard Polanco, because he has been all over the state doing all of the work from the 80s, the 90s, 2000, and even today, and it's such an honor to recognize him. As I mentioned a moment ago, I'd like to read a poem, and I will end and introduce Richard, but let me read this, and Richard, I hope that you don't mind that I'll read this, and when I find it, this is the hard part about this. Give me 1 second. Oh, and let me also say one thing while I'm looking for this. I do want to publicly thank and recognize, Richard has obviously been a big part of my career, but I do want to publicly recognize Pete Parra. Thank you so much for helping this very young man when I was here. And yes, Nicole made me walk a lot of precincts in '96, so I remember this. So I do want to publicly thank you, and thank you for being here. So, to Richard Polanco, and I have to put my glasses on. Okay. In the vibrant heart of East LA, where aspirations soar and dreams unfold, stood Richard Polanco, a luminary bold. With wisdom profound, courage untold, he united many, turned the cold into gold. His hands, like a gardener's in legislative land, sowed seeds of change with a meticulous plan. From a modest group of Latino voices under his steer, grew a robust assembly and Senate, standing together without fear. And then there was Cesar Chavez, a name we all hail. Marching for justice, his determination never frail. In fields rich with hope, his spirit took flight, chanting "Si se puede" from dawn's light to night. Though their journeys began apart, today their paths intertwine. Polanco and Chavez, in their endeavors, align. One with his strategic acumen, the other with a voice that rings. Both chose to serve for the greater good their hearts would sing. In the symphony of change, each played a vital role, their legacies woven into a single spirited scroll. Polanco championed the law for Cesar Chavez Day to stand, a tribute to a man whose movement swept across the land. Two visionaries under California's vast sky, teaching us to reach beyond, to aim high. With unwavering dedication and a love that never sways, in California's Central Valley golden fields, their spirits forever blaze. Chavez in the Central Valley stood for farm workers' plight. Polanco in this same fertile earth cultivated leaders to continue that fight. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Polanco.
¡Sí se puede! ¡Se puede! Muy buenos días, estimado público. Es un honor estar aquí con cada uno de ustedes. Dean, thank you so much. I'm lost for words, but thank you. To all the honorees, I want to acknowledge you for your service to people, something that Cesar understood, believed in. He believed in the power of people. He believed that organizing from within and building would sustain a movement throughout the state of California, a movement throughout the country, and a movement that ended in the shores of Europe with the boycott. Before I go any further, let me acknowledge the Chavez family. For sharing such an incredible leader who instilled in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, to this day, the belief that everyone is equal, that everyone has a right to equality, be it healthcare, be it education. I had the honor of serving 16 years. My last 4 years, I served as Senate Majority Leader. And what I learned in 1982 was an incredible lesson. Cesar and the United Farm Workers engaged and helped in my campaign. I was not successful. I lost. I lost, licked my wounds, and 4 years later came back to the United Farm Workers and to the community in which I had pretty much given all my young adult life. And it was then that I saw and understood what discipline meant from this man. I learned what it means to have the level of commitment when you're down, you get up. I learned how to listen, as David makes reference, to what the people are saying, what the people's needs are. And as a young boy selling oranges door to door, as a young boy growing up in a tough neighborhood, family of 8 in a 2-bedroom house, it gave me the opportunity to experience and bring to this incredible fifth largest economy in the world back then, the legislature. And when I was there, it was like 7 of us. And in a political arena like the state legislature, it is about learning how to count. The magic number on the assembly side, and those who engage know it's 40 plus 1 for the double cross. And you always have to plan for the double cross. And so I realized that I was going to be the only returning member, myself and Pete Chacon. And so in 1992, we engaged very aggressively in identifying and recruiting qualified Latino, Latina candidates to run for office. And in 1986, that IRCA piece of legislation, which was signed by then President Reagan, gave the undocumented to have 5 years of grace. If you did not become a public charge, you were going to be able to start the naturalization process. Fair process. You're here, you're paying taxes, you're engaged, fair process. Well, at the height of 187, and that was the anti-initiative back then that attacked our community, much along the lines that our community, unfortunately, is being attacked today. We organized with citizenship classes and training, and we, the Latino Caucus, came to Bakersfield when I met Supervisor Parra back then. We went to every part of the state. Why? Because Cesar understood the power of politics. As an organization, they did not have the resources, much along the line of what exists today, to finance campaigns. But he had people power. He had a movement of people who believed in justice, justice for farm workers. When I was able to go to a market and clean out that parking lot, on the message that Cesar has asked that you not shop here, we're boycotting grapes. It was phenomenal. And so I learned from Cesar, it's not about you. It can't be about you. The agenda's got to be an inclusive agenda. It's got to be bigger than you. And so today, I'm very glad to say that I have not stopped my community service. We established a nonprofit. We created Latino Fellows Program. Assemblywoman Esmeralda Soria is a Polanco Fellow. Rudy Salas is the first-class Polanco Fellow. And we continue to then institutionalize the presence of our community in this institution. And it is an important institution because it is here where the issues of education, of healthcare, it is here where the decisions are made. And unless our experience as a community, each one of us has a different experience, and it is important to make sure that we're at the table. And if anything, the legacy of Cesar is about continuing your community service. The legacy of Cesar is about negotiating in good faith. It is about keeping people's interests first and foremost. It is about caring for people and making a difference in the quality of life for all the people. And so I close by saying thank you from the bottom of my heart for this acknowledgement. I am just thrilled that I'm being bestowed with this honor. But let me close with a big shout out. This is the month of La Mujer, and a big shout out to Helen Chavez. Thank you very much.
Indeed, Richard. Thank you for all your hard work and those many, many years of conspiring with everyone up there to kind of pull things off, man. And we see the results today, and we've continued to benefit from your leadership in being able to corral all that 50+1 votes. Thank you so much. And I also want to personally thank you for acknowledging my mother-in-law, Helen Chavez. She was the heart and soul. People talk about who's the co-founder of the UFW. It was Helen Chavez. And don't make any mistake about that. Thank you, Richard. To present our final awardee of the Cesar Chavez Opportunity Award and our keynote speaker today is the current statewide constitutionally elected Superintendent of Public Instruction. I'd like to invite Mayor Karen Gold to join me. I know this was last minute, man. Don't get mad. But we have the mayor here today, and I know that Tony is on a statewide tour. So I'd like you to join me in welcoming Tony to Bakersfield.
David, thank you so much, and to Field, thank you for your efforts to open doors of opportunity. And we know that it's been said that education is the key that unlocks the golden door to freedom, freedom for people to be everything that they were created to be. And today, Superintendent, we have you as our champion. Thank you so much. Welcome to Bakersfield, California, California's largest city where we feed the world. Kern County, where we feed the world. We are so grateful that as an educator, as a social worker, a parent of public school children, that you've championed education for 6 million in our community, over 10,000 school districts. And thank you for your advocacy also of mental health, which has been so important. So we welcome you to our great community where together we're united to uplift all and to open doors of opportunity. Superintendent, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Go. Second. Tony was elected by the voters in the state of California to provide guidance and leadership to thousands of school districts in the state. Tony is Latino, African American. So ten cuidado con su español, que sí entiende. And not just the bad words. He was orphaned at 6 years old. He went on to work hard to get his education and to be elected to the city council, the school board, ultimately the state assembly, and finally a state superintendent of public instruction. This is a man who understands our people. This is a man who's committed to our community. This is a man who has a great story. You should run for governor.
I am.
Thank you, Tony. All right.
Gee, what do I say now? Thank you, David. Good morning. Buenos dias. When you talked about, be careful what you say in Spanish and not just the bad words, I thought, well, actually, those are the only words that I know in Spanish. My mother was born in Panama. My cousin who raised me was born in Panama. But the pressure that they experience around assimilation, they never spoke any Spanish in my presence. Matter of fact, I often wondered if my cousin could speak any Spanish. But then when we got in trouble, here came the Spanish. Cállate! No bulla! We didn't really, use the word chancla, but I know what the chancla is. I'll tell you that right now. ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? It is such an honor to be here today. You have to understand how humbling it is to me to be standing before you. As the descendant of immigrants from San Andres, Colombia, where my grandmother was born. My grandmother moved to Panama as a teenager. She met my grandfather from Jamaica. They got married, and they cleaned houses to try to provide for a better life. And I think about their experience all the time. No one in my family ever ran for any office. They probably were running from offices, but I think about them and the sacrifice that they wanted. And on my father's side, they emigrated from a very, very far place, Detroit, Michigan, by way of Mississippi. My dad went straight into the U.S. Army as an 18-year-old and dispatched and deployed to Vietnam. I did not see my father until I was almost 40 years old as a result. He talked about his trauma in the war and how he could not reconnect with our family. And so my mom was raising 4 kids by herself. My mom emigrated to San Jose. She became a teacher, but she was very sick. My mom had cancer, and when I was 6 years old, she lost her battle to cancer. So the 4 kids got uprooted. 2 stayed in San Jose. The youngest, myself and my 5-year-old brother, they sent us to live with a cousin who I had never met before. She lived in Philadelphia. That might as well have been a whole different world to me. It was. She took us in. I didn't know her. She took us in and raised us as her sons. Her determination was to keep us out of trouble. Actually, she kept us on lockdown. She's like, you have 2 choices. You can go to school, or you can go to school. Guess what I chose? Go to school. We grew up in a household where we often didn't have food. My tia would say, God will provide. You know, you little kid, you say, but we're hungry, what we gonna eat? God did provide. And it came in the form of the free lunch program. It came, I still have the orange ticket that I carried all my friends made fun of me, and then I became an adult and I realized everybody in my school was on the free lunch program. What's the big deal? What y'all fronting about? In my household, we had food stamp coupons, probably similar to today's EBT card, but it was a coupon book. You had to rip the coupon out of the book. It was so tightly stapled that it made a lot of noise just to get it out. I was already embarrassed that I was using it, and so when I had to rip it out, it felt like, boop, someone's using food stamps on aisle number 7. Big old spotlight coming down on me. I do not know why we shame those who are hungry. We have enough food to feed the world. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for reminding me that Kern County and Bakersfield feeds the world. Thank you for that. Senator Polanco, I don't know why we allow ourselves to shame those who are hungry or unhoused, but as a legislator and state superintendent, one of the things I'm most proud of is that now we have universal meals. We provide 2 meals a day to every student, regardless of their background or their neighborhood. Senator Flores, in my household, we also had this special delivery. It was a box of government cheese. Y'all know nothing about that, huh? Can I get a witness? If you weren't there to experience it, I sure hope there was no government cheese on your breakfast today. Can we just thank those who were serving us this morning, though? Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone. If you didn't have it, that box of cheese, it was like a box and a block in super thick plastic. You had to fight to get into that box. If you did, it might be the best grilled cheese or quesadilla you ever had. It was the best that USDA could provide. I thought that USDA was a brand name. We had so much government cheese. These programs helped my family to overcome poverty. The most important program really was the chance to get an education. And that education allowed me to become a social worker. I wanted to help kids who were just like me, trying to overcome their own humble beginnings. And I got that chance to work with young people in foster care and to work with families who had developmental disabilities, even to serve young people who were in the juvenile justice system, get them back on track. Because I know where my life might have ended, but for the intervention of my cousin and my faith community and educators who were quietly saying that the promise of education will take you wherever you want to go. I really appreciate Field because the empowerment messages, what it means for all of the participants and the opportunities and to work in business. And that's why, David, we are working right now to create a new graduation requirement in this state so that every student learns about personal finance, so that they don't have debt, that they know how money works, that they can launch a business. Our money should work for us, not the other way around. My first job was at Mickey D's. I thought I was big time. flipping burgers and eating half of what I flipped. I got paid $3.35 an hour as a 17-year-old about to enter into the university, and I thought that was big time. I got promoted. I got my first promotion to crew chief, and they paid me $3.50 an hour. I never had a job before. I never had any money before. Everything we had was hand-me-downs, and I come from a big family, and so a lot got handed down, and I was glad to have it, but our families deserve to have more. One of the things I'm most proud of, and I share this with Assembly Member Rudy Salas, is that as a legislator, I had the opportunity to vote to provide overtime to farm workers in the state of California. Good work, Rudy. Thank you. It took 80 years to win that fight, and we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us to create that opportunity. We just had the right to have the vote, but it was Senators Polanco and Flores who built that opportunity, and they created the California Legislative Latino Caucus so that there could be a movement to support those who want to run for office. And I'm just so grateful to the Chavez family. Thank you. And we want to make sure, someone said earlier about the need, and the movement continues, and the need is great. I think it was Florida. And what we're going to do to make sure that every California student knows about the work of Cesar Chavez is put it into our new graduation requirement where we teach ethnic studies so kids know about their contributions of their ancestors. Thank you to the Potter family. The former assembly member has been trying to get me here for a long time. Thank you. Thank you to the Potters for your leadership. I'm just humbled because no one ever said to me, one day you'll be elected official. Matter of fact, I got the opposite. Every race that I ran, council member, school board member, state superintendent, state legislator, every race that I ran, someone said, wait your turn. It's not your time. You're not connected to any political family. They said that a black man and an Afro-Latino would never get elected to the state legislature representing the areas that I represented, Berkeley, Richmond, and Oakland. Well, I'm standing here. How's that worked out for you? By the grace of God and the people who said that these decisions should be made by the people, not by the influence makers who feel that they should control, but by the people. And we walked a whole lot of precincts. I'll tell you that right now. We knocked on doors. It may not have been the same kind of organizing that's happening in Field and the UFW Foundation, but we knocked on doors and we talked to people, and people said, no one's ever come to my household before. And we said, it's important that you vote. And no matter who you vote for, please vote in November, because the balance of what happens in our country depends on it. There are those who want to ensure that immigrant families never have a chance at living the American dream. And we need to make sure they do not have the chance to vote. And as one of your regents for the University of California, I took a vote, and now I'm sponsoring legislation that says that undocumented students have the right to be paid and work through the University of California. And so we need you to vote. We need you to vote. We need you to vote. Assemblymember Salas and I had the opportunity to vote for healthcare for all, to say that regardless of your background, everyone deserves to have healthcare. And right now, our state has a budget deficit, so we are fighting hard to preserve health care for all. And so we need you to vote. We need you to elect Rudy Salas to the Congress. We need leaders who are going to fight for us, every city day. We have to make sure that our students have the opportunity to have great jobs. And that means that they learn early to read by third grade and by literacy. I want students to learn to read and write in more than one language. That supports them and makes them competitive leaders. Yeah, applause. That's a great place. That's a great place to put your hands together. And so in that way, we need to have more teachers who look like our kids, who reflect the diversity of our state. Most of our school districts in this state are more than 50% Latino or students of color, but they don't always have teachers who look like them. So I'm here to tell you that we have a scholarship for anybody who wants to become a teacher or a mental health clinicians in our school. We will give you $20,000 if you know somebody. Just call me, 1-800, where you at, and I'll bring your money. Robert Perez is here from the California Department of Education. Stand up, Robert. Did you bring the checks? He brought the checks? So Robert used to work for the UFW Foundation during the pandemic. We didn't really know each other well. We had a few mutual acquaintances. Robert would call me, and he would say, farm workers have needs. They don't have PPE. And when we finally got the rapid COVID test, so Robert would call me. He'd say, can you help us get it? And we'd get it. And we'd ship hundreds of thousands of pieces of PPE. And he would just keep calling me saying, I need this and I need that. I said, Robert, why don't you just come work for the Department of Education? And he is, and he's carried us to many communities. We have gone to the Coachella Valley to support farm workers who are working in the hottest temperatures. There's water that they can't even drink because of the toxins, and so we brought them water bottles that they can have cool water and stay refreshed. We had to raise the money for that. We went to the homes of students and families in the Coachella Valley and in places like Pajaro Valley, where the floods wiped out the communities, wiped out homes, wiped out schools, and we brought gift cards for food, for water, for gas, books, to take care of the families. And I'm grateful for Robert Perez, who's been an incredible representative of the UFW Foundation, and we're honored to have him on the team at the California Department of Education. Thank you, Robert Perez, for your leadership. I love the message of Field. Our office has a program that supports migrant families in education, to use it as a tool for youth and for family members. But we have a lot of work to do. We must address the issues of homelessness in this state. We cannot allow people to be sleeping on the concrete or in tents. We have 200,000 homeless students right now. 10,000 of them are on their own. If we don't support them with housing and supports, they will become homeless adults. We must build affordable housing again in this state. My mother was able to buy a home in the Silicon Valley when it was a real valley. It wasn't Silicon Valley. I remember running through orchards, grabbing things as I was running, and being chased by a man with a big gun. That house today, which unfortunately was sold after my mom passed away, that house today that she bought in the early 70s, I checked, sold for $1.8 million. What a nest egg that would have been for her 4 children. My point is, she came here as an immigrant wanting to live the American dream and to buy a home, and she did. And that's sliding away from Californians, and we must make that possible and make sure that everyone has a job that will pay great wages. That's why I mentioned the computer science. Well, we are creating a computer science graduation requirement so our kids can work in coding, in computer science, in cybersecurity. You can move into cybersecurity with the diploma and earn $100,000 a year, making sure that our governments are protected from those who want to hack into our computers. Those are the jobs for us and our children. And we must preserve them, and so we're going to make sure our students learn computer science. They already know it. It's intuitive. I have 2 daughters. When they were little, and I would get a new device, and I was struggling to figure out how it would work. I thought I broke it. It was a slider, you know. It's funny how the slider has come back, you know. They used to make fun of me, Dad, your phone is old and busted, and I'm reading the menu, trying to figure out how does it work. They just snatched it out of my hand. Dad, this is how it works. Our kids know intuitively how to do this. Why shouldn't they be leading the charge? And as Florida was mentioning, we can never let a computer even try to replace a human because it can't. And so that means we have to understand AI and know how to use it and to protect it against taking the jobs of those who provide for us. ¿Se puede? Are we ready? We can do it. And so I'm grateful again to have been selected to even be mentioned in the spirit of Cesar Chavez. And I accept in advance my responsibility to do more, because this is a great state. and much was provided for me. This state can be better. The promise of education was kept for me. Let us keep it for our 6 million students. Let us keep the promise of the California dream for our 40 million California residents. Thank you so much for this honor, and have a wonderful Cesar Chavez celebration.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Tony to stay up here. Rudy, can you join us, please? These are the type of people who represent the possibilities in the future, both in the Congress and in the governor's race. And I'd like to encourage each and every one of you to keep in mind not just what they've said, but what they've done. Hechos. And I want to make sure that you know that you have my full support as we go forward in your campaign. Same with you, Rudy. Very good. I'd like to ask the awardees if you can please step forward. And I'd also like to, the awardees, where you at? Flor, Magda, no te hagas. Who else we got up here? Greg. We'd like to take, let's see, where's my staff? We'd like to provide you, Richard, we'd like to give you each a copy of your, Greg, if you can stand here, and Magda, see, Dr. Alvarez over here. You got yours, Flor? Richard? Greg, you're over here. I'm coming. And then we've got two at the foot. Richard, you're in front. Tony, you're in front.
I think it's over here. Yeah, there you go.
On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Farmworkers Institute of Education and Leadership Development, we want to congratulate each and every one of the awardees for their hard work and their commitment. And we want to encourage you to continue in all your endeavors on behalf of the people in the state of California and our community. Bien hecho. Muchísimas gracias. Un aplauso, por favor. I want people to know that we have the facility at 2240 South Union Street. And to Tony's words, we're putting together dormitories for our unhoused youth so that they can work and they can be paid when they're with field, together with the child care facilities that we're offering on site so that the parents and the students can bring their kids. And we would be more than happy to be able to extend those benefits in conjunction. Roberto, ¿dónde andabas? So that we can work with Roberto to get some programs that we can implement there. Also, we want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. You're welcome to hang around and comadrear if you'd like. Otherwise, this concludes today's Cesar Chavez Legacy Breakfast in honor of Cesar Chavez's birthday. Thank you so much. Oh, they'd like to get a picture. Rudy, I want a picture with everybody.